In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can Flame Horizon the enemy jungler every single game, because whether you win the early game and you lose it through a throw, or you're behind and you can't come back, it just won't make a difference because you can always, and with any jungler, make the right play using this strategy. You will be in a position to win just by having that Flame Horizon. Hey, you saw I did it on Kai'Sa, I do it on Mundo, I do it on Volibear, I've done it on Zyra Jungle, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, and we're going to fix your early game along the way to make sure that you have the best chance to carry, win, and climb. But don't forget, if you need an extra helping hand and you want to climb faster than 70% of other players and get to Gold, Diamond, and Master Tier about 2 years faster than everybody else, have a look at Virkayu.gg through the link in the description below and find your best bespoke jungle coaching package, along with courses dedicated to your specific MMR to help you climb to the next tier, all filled with relevant and actionable information, as well as the free Jungle Improvement PDF to help you carry, win, and climb, and learn how to Vardavir yourself. Click the link below to join me on Virkayu.gg, a jungler's learning paradise. And here we go, we're Graves, we're starting on the red buff, and we have a Fleet Footwork, Conqueror rune set, that's right. And we're going to have a different sort of start that you probably normally see. In the case of the Lee Sin on the enemy team, he is going Leashless Raptors, which is of course somewhat the meta at the moment. I think we may have seen that a few times recently. Mostly though, from Raptors red Krugs into the bottom lane gank, enemy jungler tries to match and then you get invaded, or you have a nice old 3v3 or something like this. The Graves, on the other hand, is going to have some suboptimal pathing techniques that I'm going to want to talk about, but also some stuff that's probably quite representative of what we're seeing at the time now. This Rengar didn't play in Season 4 because Ryan Choi, original 4x Doran stacker from the lane of top, would say, hey guys, just ban Jax. And this Rengar did not ban Jax. So, Silas was the Krugs to the mid lane, Aphelios, Thresh, Jinx, Tom Kench, and now Graves here is going into a wolf camp. Now this is the downside of this particular clear, because what it does is it brings you here, and this will be your third camp. That's a 3. But it won't give you level 3, right? That's the thing. You're still level 2. And that's the big issue with this kind of clear when you want to do the rotations that which the Graves is about to, do. We have here the Rengar dragging down level 1 into the burst saying, hey, can we fight here? Can I bait this? And I don't know if the Jax is going to fall for it, but the Rengar goes in, gets level 2. He will fall for it here, and the Graves is showing right up. We're going to maybe burn some flash in the TP. There we go. We'll take the flash from the top laners. We don't waste hours, of course, because that would be silly. We scan now, make sure we get this, a little bit of a reset with the E, and we can observe this lane as we fall back down. Or, if everyone disrespects it, you just kind of come back around the top side here. Let's move the chat so we can see the mechanics. Nice bait by the Rengar there, good movement speed boost. We'll cover the Lee Sin in a second, but this is the unfortunate nature of jungle. What do I call this? The proximity assist. What did the Lee Sin do in the meantime? A red Raptors Grump, and that's better because now you're level 3 of 3 camps. You have 2 camps that are going to respawn in 2 minutes 15. We have a volatile mid lane. We'll do a bit of a minion ward hub, dodge the chains of destiny by the Gragas. How he did that, I don't know. And the Graves is now on the top side, getting his proximity assist. From the Lee Sin's perspective, you would see the Graves top lane and you go, okay, that's 13 CS. Obviously he cleared the ward, that's a +1 freebie. But you're going to see 12 and level 2 when he shows up, which means he's doing that sort of, I don't say inner clear, because the red Raptors Wolves Blue is an archaic clear for this reason. It's 4 camps that get level 3 when there's so many variants that give you straight up level 3 with 3 camps. One of them being Blue Wolves Red, one of them being Red Raptors Grump. Obviously you can do buff Grump, but that's a bit of a legacy clear purely because we want 2 camps to respawn at 215 and the buffs will always be there for us, like the Lee Sin here. He does the Red Raptors Grump, he goes down and does the gankings. If more stuff happens, then the Raptors and the Grump will respawn high levels, he gets that extra golden fusion and the blue buff is still there. And I'm just interjecting here that this is the correct play, because the idea is to go Red Raptors Wolves Grump, get your level 3, have the good sequencing technique into the blue, and then of course you can flex that rotation. The downside of doing this 5 camp variant is of course that you're level 2. Whereas if you did Red Krugs Raptors into your Wolves and Soldiers, you could rotate just the same, skipping the blue quadrant, and then be level 3 at least. But it's not a big issue because you're so close to level 3. But in the context of reactively pathing to an event like this, whatever clear you're doing, whatever's happening on the map, if you see an ability to get kills, to help your laner like this, you move, right? So it doesn't really matter necessarily what the clear was. It's just worth noting why that sort of Red Raptors Wolves Blue is not particularly good anymore, and why 5 campers do have their downsides, and you're seeing it right here. But in the meantime, the Graves has fallen back to take his blue. He did get 3 from the assist experience. The Jax is showing a lot of disrespect here, and this is the problem with top laners. They do not track this stuff, but at the same time, what is the Lee Sin doing incorrectly? He did not ping it out. Challenger GM game in Korea, no pings, no anticipation, no saying, hey Jax, guess what, my guy? The Graves is still there. Because I know 12 CS showing up without the blue buff, level 2, that he's 99% of boom, boom, boom. That's almost always, actually, that's literally always the case when you see that. And the other option was if he obviously did the blue wolves Raptors and gank bottom lane, but that would be inverted, obviously. Lee Sin, on the other hand, basically decides, let me flex swap. What that basically means is, we started our entire clear, right, by going down. And now in theory, because we've taken these camps off the map, this will be up already, and this will be up. So we could easily take this quadrant, gank the mid lane, look to counter jungle, dive, and fall back to the blue side, right, where we'll have the Grump and the wolves respawning. Yes. But we also know that the Graves repeat gank top lane would have fallen back down to make sure he had that quadrant cleared, at least for a good reset, and now we'll reset and come to the bottom side. So what he was trying to do was actually set up a counter gank to the Graves. However, what he didn't factor in was the time needed for the Graves to reset and put himself in a better position for the counter gank. And a better way to do that would have just been to do the Krugs into the Raptors and cut down with deep vision and so on, but also you got to watch your back timing for your bot lane. If they're resetting and roaming, that gank's not there for the Graves anyway, so the counter gank is lost. Now, you've got to the top side here, okay? And the biggest problem with this particular play from the Lee Sin's perspective is we've left our respawn Grump on the map, which is not what we want to do at all. Excuse me there, sorry Lee Sin, I ruined you the surprise, but we'll watch it play through right now. Lee Sin shows up, he says, yes, it is time to go gaming, hits the Q. There we go. That's about as much as I'll commentate on that because he was pretty much dead. And the Graves now basically says, okay, well, Thresh is there, I can't cut in for this. They have Prio, I guess I'll just take my wolves and prevent the potential counter jungling, but both junglers not having the most pristine sequencing with their pathing. Graves obviously it was the right decision, yeah. There's no question through all of this, as you're thinking about it, that he should have rotated to this. He made the right play. 100% he made the right play. He saw the Rengar, he goes in. Oh my goodness gracious, well that was not the right play. We don't want to overcommit here either because Lee Sin in the area. Does he reset after the kill? Does he go here and collapse down? Only he knows. You don't. You have to assess these possibilities. Gragas will then of course use his passive and get some juicy healing. And now we can disengage. We have here the kill by the Rengar, thank goodness. And so we shove that out and we move on to the bottom side, and obviously we see the Lee Sin and we go, okay, now I know that you reset. That's great for me because you have 2 extra long swords. I'm gonna go ahead and snack this Scuttle Crab quickly. I like this. You see, I talk about this a lot in coaching and a lot in the courses. If something's happening where you cannot collapse to it, can I sneak something, thieve something, take something away very quickly? Now the bottom lane are going straight all in here. Phyllis is going 1,000 years aggression, but Graves is here. Graves is not needed. Graves will cut off the Lee Sin. See, this is good. Lee Sin goes in. Lee Sin has the advantage here. Double extra longsword versus the serrated Dirk. However, oh, that was a nice zap by the... Oh, never mind. Anyway. Jeremy Clarkson, anyway. What the Graves did well was say, okay, look, I see the 2v2. I'm going to cut down because I know Lee Sin's here. Lee Sin said, hey, I know the Graves is here. We both better cut down. Fortunately, the 2v2 coin flip is won in the favor of Graves. And now, obviously, we have the Tomkins going abyssal voyaging onto the Thresh. Graves says, you know what, you die, but I take the snack. Let me shove this very quickly. So far, so good, right? But look at the CS all of a sudden. Look at the CS, and if you weren't paying attention to the CS, are you surprised a little bit? Because it didn't feel like that lead was necessarily that big at this stage, the 20 CS. It is, though. And this is where it begins. This is where your Flame Horizon begins. This is early sequencing, ensuring you get those quadrants, and the Lee Sin overbacking, right? Not paying attention to where the Graves is going to be necessarily, and skipping this Grump, and then skipping his Krugs. Those 2 skipped camps alone are the big issue. Because he leaves this on the map, and then he goes topside, yeah? And then he goes back to base again, and he skips this Krug camp. That's 2 edge camps left on the map, that's 8 CS. Instead of, 12 CS deficit, that's a 20 CS deficit. And it's not a big deal, but the respawn timers and so on are important. Now, the Graves decides to go coin flipping into this with no mid prior, not paying attention to the Kruggers. We all make mistakes sometimes. This is one of those moments. He decided to just go kind of using bot prior to snack a dragon, do some invading into the blue side quadrant here. The Jax and Rengar just absolutely dueling it out like champions. And now the Silas is still mid lane here. Silas, at any point in time, buddy, you can show up and do some stuff. The problem is, as you're seeing right here, that stuff is impossible because numbers disadvantage. And that's always what you have to focus on here. Don't care if people get these kills. I don't care if you win these 4v3s. The risk assessment has to be done correctly. Because bad risk assessment like this is what causes you to be doomed. Now, that being said, the Graves is respawned, and instead of going to the top side, instead of doing this and this, which is what you normally would do, right? In low elo, you look at this and you go, okay, is it doomed for my team? Is there a possibility I can get there and get cleaned up and get kills, get experience, do some counter jungling? If yes, to an 80% degree, I'm gonna rotate. If it's like, oh, there's only a 20% chance that I can actually do anything, then why don't you just go and kill this guy, take this and this, you know, or like whatever order you like. At the same time, if you wish to be spicy, fall back to your blue side quadrant, make the next plays. Let this die. Let this be what it is. Because the guy's most likely going to do his blue gromp. He might get a dragon. Who really cares, basically, at this point? You feast on the bones of the Jax. You get the juicy gold-generating machine of the Herald. You can do a full sequence down, ideally. Again, another 24 CS free for you. Huge advantage while they wasted time fighting. And even if your team loses, wins, it doesn't really matter. You got yourself infused. So that's also the Flame Horizon technique. However, we had an 80% chance of success, and now what we can do is become the aggressor. However, everything that you're about to watch is the caveat of, at some point in League of Legends, no matter how good your decision making is, you have to have the mechanics to execute the game plan. You have to understand your threshold of damage, how much you can tank, your mobility, what the enemy champions want to do. How can we play this? Do you see how he goes straight into melee range into the Aphelios and kills him? Aphelios has a range advantage. You say, well, if I go up in your phase, you die because I have a serrated Dirk, Noon Quiver, Longsword, Boots, Graves. I can do that to you. The Graves knew immediately that that fight was a fight he could win. Lee Sin low, Thresh low, just dodge the hook, and then all in the Aphelios as best you can, snack the kills up, fall back to the objective, kill conversion ratio. While he's dead, what can I take that adds to my CS? That's always what we're looking for. Now, if you're winning the game, this is great. If you're losing the game, I don't really care, because if you make the play when you're losing, then you're a beast. The point is that we now have a 20 CS lead. We see the Lee Sin through the deep vision. We have the Tahm Kench roaming mid lane. They're going all in on Jinx. We're going to rotate and react to this. She does burn the cleanse. Can we save her? Probably not, but can we clean anybody up? Again, that E towards. Nice little dodge on the Aphelios, squiggly spaghetti, and then we don't overcommit. Restraint is your friend. Restraint is what allows you to pop this game up, because at least it's still 6-1. He has high KP. More than the Graves. Graves only is less than 50%. But that's because he influenced the top lane. And too many times I see these memes about never ganking top lane. And too many times the top laners believe it exists. But if you're part of the up top side guys in a snowballing lane, look at the goodness that you can have. This is huge for us. Huge! Because now we can of course focus everywhere. We can gank and impact every lane. Maybe not mid lane, but we did drive by, right? We did show up. We attempted to help. He was low, the Gragas was low, we just helped the shove so he can reset without dying. We used that then to counter gank and do some stuff in the bottom lane. The balanced approach will always be king. The market is king, the map is king. And the balanced approach of jungling will be good in any meta. The Rengar is overcommitting on the top side here. Well, you know, overcommitting is a strong word because he's level 10 and he destroys the Lee Sin. But the Lee Sin's like, I better do the flash kick. Well then. Was it still overcommitting at this point? In theory, it's overcommitting. You know, by the strictest definition, you're pushing past vision line. When a jungler was down on the bottom side taking that stuff, no objective, he's 99% coming to the top side. You should know this, you're low, but he's still Rengar level 10. No, at least I had to burn everything, so you know what, we'll take it. Graves says, okay, that's great. I know you're gonna have to fall back to here to regen a little bit. We'll do a little quadrant cut into the mid lane. What I'm gonna do is drag the Herald down so that when you do that, if you do show up here to go this way or this way, I can see it as best I can. Obviously, you've got a little bit of a fog of war cone here. That's why I like to put a control ward in this little spot. But, you know, we're expecting some kind of Lee Sin action here because once you do this and then you float back down here, you regen, you get some cash money. It's called a quadrant clear when you finish one quadrant and then you do some stuff. If you wanted a full sequence and get a Flame Horizon, you just keep going. But obviously in a losing game state, you can't afford to necessarily do that. You maybe need to do something else. So we have the Graves here snacking this baby up. He steals it away. Lee Sin does the quadrant with a different angle of approach than expected. The disengage becomes the disengage because that's what Gragas is good at. And of course, Silas snacks it up. We're going to go and cross this shadowing saying, look, I see you. I know what we're doing. Look at the CS lead now, 30. You see how quickly it becomes a ballooned event just by one mechanical outplay. And we died, by the way. Lee Sin's only died one more time, so it's not like it's basically shifted. We have been in the right position to push waves. We've been in the right position to shadow and hold waves. We've been in the right position to take objectives, +8. And now basically we're saying, okay, well I know Lee Sin's gonna cross this way. Let's go fight and use it because this bottom lane looks absolutely primed. The Thresh goes for the ult and we're just gonna flash it to make sure we can stay within auto range to get the kill. Lee Sin over the wall. We slice and dice to kill the Aphelios. Lee Sin goes back over the wall. Remember, we have the shield bow gaming, and obviously now we have 2 and a bit plates. The Silas rotates, gets disengaged upon the Gragas shows up. Well, Jinx is taking the turret aggro, so she'll die. That's unfortunate. But we'll focus the turret as you do, focus the CS as you do, and then clean up kills afterwards. Come on, we can do it. Nice Q, boom. The Q drag. And we'll go back to base as the Herald does another charge. So the concept of how do I Flame Horizon a jungler in this particular case, it's not very difficult in the first 15 minutes, right? Now it's when it becomes difficult. So if you're a jungler who's ahead, you're a jungler who's behind, you're a jungler who's equal, and you're not Flame Horizon enemy junglers frequently. And again, I do this on all my junglers all the time. I do it on Zyra, I do it against Nidalees, I do it on Mundo, I've done it with Ornn, a little bit less so with Ornn, Volibear I've done it with. You can do it on any jungler, basically. And it's all about playing just like this Graves, because Lee Sin, by, you know, all metrics, hasn't played terribly, but his ganking prowess, his looking for angles has not been perfect. However, this here is a tip that will get anyone to diamond. Watch this. We're going to go ahead and kill the Jack. So the most important thing here is, am I strong enough to kill the solo top laner? The answer has to always be yes. If not, then we didn't play perfectly. Lee Sin shows up. Does he want to do this? The answer should always be no. You want to get to 15 minutes. No jungler, no top laner, no laner in the game in ISO can beat you 1v1. If you mechanically play perfectly, always. That's gotta be the rule. If you mess up or whatever, I love it when that happens. If you mess it up, that's one thing, but you've gotta have the power. Why? Because in silver, in gold, in platinum, in diamond, look at this. What is this called? It's called split pushing. We have a winning bot lane. They can't break open the tier 1 mid lane because we have the Thresh. They feel like he's gonna go in and get hooked and most likely will fall. Good night, ugly toad. We have the Silas pushing on the bottom lane against the Gragas. This dragon is available. We shove. Now, if their whole team kills your team and takes this one with no Baron on the map, then we just keep pushing, right? We take this, we take this, we take this, we'll cut him, we'll take this. You know, we'll fall back here. We'll try and defend this from any sort of counter jungling. But you just gotta do the map play. Look at this. You are watching this. Always watching. Okay, Silas gets a kill. Now Silas will most likely die. Okay, we're watching. We're seeing this. Can I rotate and make something happen? Yay or nay? That's the assessment. If yay, make the rotation. You will get better at these the more you make them. What's the alternative? Should this be a doom scenario if you're in that sort of bucket? Boom, boom. Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not even... Let me show you this again, excuse me. I'll explain in a second. So the Rengar gets hooked here. He dies. Obviously, the Graves shows up here. Off we go. There we go. Okay. Ult over the wall. Nice and cheeky. Another order on the Graves. A little bit of a side dash. Always the lateral movement, right? You want to keep your true grit stack and make sure you're within AA range. Okay, that's important. If this was 100% a Doom scenario, I'm on this. I'm snacking this up and sneaking it away. If I can take something else because they sort of overchase here like they would in Silver, I'll take these things to catch bottom lane and shove it up. Beyond vision line, mind you, so you have to be very, very careful. That's where a blue trinket, this thing, far side alteration, is great because you can slap it down and watch sort of collapses. But ideally what we're doing is we're snacking this and at least looping back and then maybe doing a full sequence and pushing this out, controlling this, whatever is necessary to defend your camps from being denied by the enemy jungler. In this situation where it's a W and we rotate and we get the kills, then yes, 100%, my friends. Take his stuff, catch the wave, shove the wave, fall back to the objective, take your quadrant. That's what you do. That's where you balloon your CS advantage. -12 for him, +12 for you. That you catch a wave no one's dealing with. You shove it. Again, not beyond vision line, and only when there's gray screens. Then you fall back to the next thing, the next thing. The Lee Sin's like, hey, I better go fight him because I need to win this game. Kills the Jinx. The Graves like, well, I'm holding this wave. We see the Rengar topside. We watch this. We're looking at it. We're going, okay. You're always watching this. All right. The red team thinks, yes, guys, we're getting shutdowns. We're going to win. We can maybe Baron soon. There's no Baron, obviously, for another, you know, just over a minute and a half. Graves goes back to base. Spends his cash money gold. Comes back to the mid lane. Can we make a play here as a team? We have the TP coming in. Let's have a look here. We can't now because Graves is dead. Sorry. We can't now because Rengar is dead and the TP was burned. So do we overcommit and die 2v5? No. We try and wave close best we can, but we do not die. Give the turret. Do not die. That is the only thing I can tell you right now. Cool. They're going to disengage and spend their gold. Boom, 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 boom. Can we snack this while they're base, actually? And when you sort of see this flow in the mid game, this is when the Flame Horizon just gets realized almost every game. And if you're losing, you'll figure out, oh, wait a second, I'm up 2-3 levels. I can win any fight by myself. If you're winning, you just close games out really quickly. Because you're causing pressure, pressure, pressure. You get to fall back to objectives. They cannot afford to run through the jungle to fight you because you have that huge advantage. If your team are dying, you're surviving and just catching waves. If your team are dying and you're surviving and just giving up something a little bit with a bit of wave clear, it at least thins out the waves so that they cannot overpush here. Then you control your whole quadrant, take the next objective. Now we go deep into the jungle. Why? Because we can win every fight. When your early game is good, when your mid game is better, your late game is free. All right, that's the saying. Look at this, 76, 189, we've achieved it. The Lee Sin is trying to fight to stay in the game. Literally fight, because his own econ early from farming wasn't good enough to mesh with his ganks. Did his laners play well? No. Was top lane won by the Graves? Yes. What did he do to truly win the game? Can you honestly tell me that he did a lot? I don't think so. You know, he kills a Rengar down here, that's great, but now we're losing an inhib. And you know what, you just let them have fun and maybe we can go in, we'll get saved here by the Toad and we can now leave the scenario, don't throw. We'll kite down and take this one over here. Everyone goes back to base and obviously now we want to make sure we're in a position to take the Baron, so we see an overcommit and we say, yes, I'll kill you. This is it, my friends. Be the strongest person in the game with the most gold, the best mechanics. From this, you just snack the Baron with 2 people. Now again, watch the enemy, look, watch our team. The Jinx is 248, 632, 864, 1412. You know, look, they're gonna go in here overcommit by themselves. Look at, this is Challenger, but this is also Silver, no? Gold, Platinum. It's the human condition. 2 kills to the Lee Sin. You're like, oh, that's where we got the cleanup. Yeah, that's where we got the cleanup. Hey, now, does it matter that this is a thing? No, just go and kill everybody. That's the goal. Slowed. Over the wall. Off we go. TP committed. 5-man stack. Now, obviously play correctly because the 3v5 is not exactly an easy fight. You have to know if you have to leave or not. That is always the trick. We do get hooked by the Thresh. The Silas goes too deep. We ult over the wall to respace. The Q did hit. Will he take it? We dodge the hook again. Gragas slides over the wall. Oh, we get body slammed into the wall. We have to flash to disengage. The Jax follows us through the leap strike, but now that's a Q against the wall, so it's a short return, and he dies. We'll snack the red buff as well. This is not crashing. Nice mechanics. Nice gold lead. 14-1-1. No one can do anything. Now, because we got the dead Jax, we clear the visions, and we push up for one last fight. So if you're saying, well, it looks so smooth. It's so smooth when you challenge them. Like, well, yeah, but as you can see, there were also mistakes and downsides and different variations and, you know, improvements, obviously. But overall, it really simply came down to ensuring that he sequenced at the right time, had river control, shoved and held waves, knew when to give plays up, rotated when he had to rotate, didn't rotate when he didn't, took the objectives when there was an opportunity to do so, and obviously, objective control kill conversion ratio. That is a huge Flame Horizon, so hopefully you can see the little bit of a template on how good the flow in the mid game can be, looking from one thing to the next. Nice little nugget of wisdom for those of us who like Flame Horizons. I do. It's one of the things I have that I really enjoy doing. But obviously, if you want to understand how to play in the meta in a more general sense, click the video in the box on the top right, and it will give you those answers with more effects.